All right. Jesus might as well be speaking to me as he speaks to Martha in this gospel. There is an age-old dynamic here, an age-old tension between two ideas, being and doing. Mary is being. Right? She's passive, she's listening to Jesus, and she's learning. But she's not really doing anything. Martha is the opposite. She's doing everything. She's cooking and cleaning, she's being a good host. But she's not really paying attention to anything but the task at hand. She's not taking time to think about the things that are more important in life. And we know that because she's not listening to Jesus. Jesus is everything important, worthwhile, and worthy of our attention. When he's around, it's time to leave the dishes in the sink. They will be there in the morning. And that's why so many of us are able to, relate to this gospel reading. Martha's strength and flaws are our own as well. Some of us are just naturally not the best at sitting down and being quiet. If you're not sure if that applies to you, ask your mother. She knows. Some of us feel more spiritual when we are doing something holy or righteous or helpful like Martha. You could say that some people are better at praying with their hands. I would consider myself in that category. But I also share Martha's. Sorry, I'm not supposed to be scrambling their names so much. That's my fault. I also share Martha's problem in the gospel today, where I get caught up in the little things and the important matters pass me by. Call it a case of over-focusing. So here's my big question for you today. If you don't have an answer right away, give it some thought on the way home from church. Are you more like Mary, or are you more like Martha? Do you prefer quiet and stillness, or do you prefer activity and a little bit of background noise? Do you pray with your thoughts and your voice, or do you pray with your hands? Are you hungry for the truth, always eager to learn like Mary? And of course, bear in mind that it is entirely possible that you're both of them and you pray in both ways in equal measure. St. Teresa of Avila described that as an indication of prayerful excellence. Not all of us are there yet, but it's possible. Now, the point of the gospel is summed up in Jesus' final line: Martha, you are anxious about many things, but Mary has chosen the better part, and it will not be taken from her. We have to resist the temptation that our way is the only way, that different equals inferior. Martha stumbled into that little problem just for a moment, and she needed Jesus to kind of pull her out of that thinking. Now take note, we are not relativists. Some things in life are right, some things in life are wrong. Some choices really are better than others. But everyone has a personal relationship with God. Everyone has a unique relationship with God, and we need to respect that. Not everyone gets spiritually charged in the same way. And I think the world would be a better place if we all did a little bit better in respecting that, respecting the passions and joys of others. I mean, how many of you today, keep your true joys and interests mostly to yourself? I would guess many of you, if not most of you. That's just a guess, but it's an educated guess. Because it hurts when other people mock or underestimate the things that you love the most. Others don't always understand that those special things in life are often what bring us closest to God. And that was certainly true for Martha. Plenty of people read this gospel and incorrectly conclude that Martha is the spiritually inferior sister. That is not true. That is not true. Maybe she is spiritually inferior in this moment, maybe. But let's take a minute to remember the other part of the Bible where Martha shows up. I'm referring to the Gospel of John, chapter 11, the resurrection of Lazarus. Jesus comes back to town to raise Lazarus from the dead. Martha is the one that goes out to meet him, and Mary stays in the house. And when Jesus says, "I am the resurrection and the life," Martha, do you believe this? Martha answers, yes. Martha is a faithful follower of Christ. She's not perfect, but she's close to Christ personally and spiritually. And so I say again, there are many ways to grow closer to God and live your faith. That is true if you're more like Mary or true like Martha. It's still true. There are many ways to grow closer to God. Now, there are some things we shouldn't skip. Coming to Mass, obviously, to receive the Eucharist, be together in faith. Jesus definitely told us to do that in memory of him. That applies equally to Martha and Mary. Baptism and confirmation, other things that really shouldn't be skipped. And then, of course, there's showing compassion to others, resisting temptation, taking time to pray. All of these are essential ingredients. They apply to all of us. But once we get past those basic critical elements, the things that really shouldn't be skipped, the variations of our faith almost immediately become too great to fully comprehend, as our uniqueness as individuals colors our faith. So be sure to love your faith in the form that it exists. Whether you're a Mary or a Martha, love your faith.